Alright, today we're going to review cause and effect, and then we're going to read our story, and over the story it will give us some example about the cause and effect, okay? So let's first read over this again. Ayo, you want to read this first paragraph for us?
The cause is why something happened, the effect is what happened.
Okay. Kate, will you read the next one for us?
Cause and effect relationships can be
Implicit.
implicit or explicit.
Perfect. Good job. Those are kind of hard words. And then, Parker, will you finish that one?
The cause can also have more than one effect.
All right. Jake, do you remember what these words mean, implicit or explicit? No? No worries. We went over it briefly yesterday. All right. So implicit means that they do not tell you word for word what the relationship is between the cause and the effect. Yeah, right. It's opposite. So explicit tells you clearly what the relation is. Okay? So think about when we just watched that video about the dog getting off the leash and hitting the lady, which made the guy fall.
Which made him kick the police off.
And then what happened? The police came, right? His partner. Right, his partner. So let's think of it from the partner's point of view. He just showed up. He sees that his partner blew his whistle. The guy is falling. The groceries are everywhere. And then he sees the other guy with a leash with no dog.
And then he sees.
All right, so say the dog wasn't in the picture, right? So we know all the effects it had because they didn't clearly state what the cause was. But since we see the guy just have an empty leash, we can figure out, well, what goes on a leash?
A dog.
A dog.
Or
So
a
we,
cat.
right, some sort of animal.
Cats don't really go on leashes.
Some sort of animal, usually a dog. But we can tell what the cause is now from the clues that we have. So that would be an example of implicit. Explicit would be like the example of like up here. It tells us word for word what the cause is and the effect. Go ahead.
Wouldn't explicit mean like that, or implicit mean like if the dog jumped on a lady and then he ran off?
Yeah.
And then he had to figure it out?
Yeah, that would be a good example. Also, you think the IMP, I think of implied. It's like if they don't tell you word for word, but based off the information, it's kind of implied what happened.
Explicit, all I can think of is music. My mom won't let me listen.
Yeah, that's something different. But and then I think I came around to your group yesterday and we talked about how causes can have multiple effects. Do you remember the example I gave you?
The dog got off the leash, which made the girl spill the groceries, which made the innocent person kick the police off, which made the police officer blow his whistle, which made the police officer's partner die.
Right. That was one example of multiple, like one cause and multiple effects. But I think I also said, what if Miss Gafford and I came to school one day and had no plans? We just showed up. No, okay. There were some groups I talked to. So what if Miss Gafford and I came to school one day and we had zero plans? We just showed up and we were like, I don't really know what to do.
That would be bad.
Who would
That
that
would be
affect?
fun.
No, but we still had to do work. We couldn't just have a fun day. Who would that affect?
All of us.
Everyone, right? It would affect your class. It would affect Ms. Zorn's class.
It would affect
It would
you and Miss
technically affect
Gafford.
Miss
Yes.
White's class because sometimes she comes and asks stuff.
Yes. Sometimes she
Always
is.
planned.
It would
Right.
affect Miss Hood.
Right. And so, would that just affect us one day, just on that Monday, or would it affect us for a long
Because y'all
time?
plan ahead.
Right. So, also, so it would affect us all week. And then come Tuesday, you guys would have to do double work. We would have to teach double amount of skills.
We would have 7 hours.
Yeah, so you'd catch up.
We would have 7 hours.
You might have a lot of homework too.
Some kids
And we might have to work over the weekend.
Right, so that one cause, the one problem, causes aren't always problems, but the one problem that I told you about had unlimited amount of effects, right? Alright, so you guys go ahead and read the story. Yep, quickly read it to yourself. This is what the students have been reading in the small group. And this is them reading to themselves. Alright, just look at me when you're finished. Give me just another second. Alright, so if we look back in the second paragraph where they talk about, what were they talking about in the second paragraph? Cannon, have a seat.
They're talking about the trick to beat Earth.
Alright, so the trick to beat Earth's gravity and Earth's force. So let's use that as our cause, Earth's gravity. What effect does it have on us and everything around us? It keeps us down.
Just float.
Right. It's what keeps us to the ground. Right. So one relation. So the cause is Earth's gravity and its force, and the effect it has on us is it pulls us to the ground. Okay? Let's skim down to the third paragraph. Will you read that for us, Parker?
Think of a spring, or better yet, think of a spring and a pogo stick. Your weight on the stick presses the spring down. That stores energy in the spring. When the energy is released, it has enough to lift the stick and you off the ground.
Okay, very good. If we have the cause, is that your weight is on the stick. You know what a pogo stick is? Okay.
My cousin has one.
So think of the spring in the pogo stick. If our cause is that we put our weight on the pogo stick, so now the spring is crunched down, there's a couple effects that it tells us. What's the first effect that it had on the
It's
spring?
going to lift you and the stick off the ground.
That's one, but that's not our first one. You're going to look back and see what our first effect it had on the spring.
Pushes it down.
Stores energy.
Stores energy. So the cause is the spring is high and we put our weight on it. So then it stores energy. And then you said the other effect. What was it?
It lifts the pogo stick and you
Yes.
off the ground.
Very good. It'll lift you and the pogo stick off the ground. So that was one cause and multiple effects. Alright. And then let's look at the next paragraph. The second to the last paragraph. Do you guys remember what I was talking about? Do you know what I was talking about, Kate?
Okay, that's fine. Okay, I'll tell her. Okay, I told her she was. Okay, thanks. Bye.
We're looking at this paragraph right here. What was it talking about? Do you remember?
Energy in your life.
Yeah, energy in your legs and when you jump. Do you remember what it said when it about when you jump with your legs are straight?
If you stand up straight and then try to jump, you can't.
You can't.
Well, and you get
Well,
about
you
1
get
inch.
in.
Yeah, you won't get very high. Right. So if we jumped with our knees are bent, so think about our knees as a spring,
pushes
what would
up.
be our effect?
You would get maybe a foot.
You would jump higher, right?
Not
Your knees bend and push yourself off the ground.
Alright, so the cause is our knees are bent, and what kind of effect does it have?
You're higher.
You jump high. Alright, very good. Alright, let's just read over this one more time. And then we'll finish. Will you read that, Jake?
The cause is why
Go ahead.
is why something happens. The effect is what happens.
Okay?
Cause and effect relationship can be implicit
Implicit.
or explicit.
Okay?
A cause can also have more than one effect.
Alright, very good. You guys can go ahead and put your reading books away quietly, and I'm going to go check on the other groups.